So you might have to approve the recording. I think it lets you know.
Got it. It says got it. Yep.
Okay.
I had a
All
choice
right.
between got it and leave the meeting, and I chose got it.
Well, yeah, it just, it wants you to know that I'm filming you. So, you have to agree with that. So,
Yes.
yeah. So welcome, you guys. And I'm kind of happy. Heidi, if you want to unmute yourself and talk with us, you're absolutely good with doing that unless you have a lot of noise going on in the background. Hopefully my dogs will behave and we won't have that issue today because it happens.
All right. I'm officially unmuted, but I do have I'm officially unmuted, but I do have like other people here at the house. So if it gets noisy, I'll mute myself.
Okay, no problem. I just want you to have especially since it's really, really small here. I want you to be able to ask questions if you have a question about something. There's so much information and so much that I could impart to you in this time, but I want to be respectful of the time that I told you this was going to take. We do have a little project where we're going to put together this little book. I want to have, for me, that's the important part, but I do have like this little presentation and I just want to go through it. So it's just to tell you kind of what I mean by the language that I'm using and all of that kind of thing. So I'm gonna share my screen. So I'm hoping that this works out because I'm not terribly good at this. So is everybody seeing? Let's see.
Yep.
All right. Where is my slideshow button? I'm so bad at this, you guys. Slideshow. Okay. I don't know. I got nothing.
I can see your screen.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to click through them like this then. So I had animations and everything, but to be honest, I can't figure out how to make it start.
Up at the top, see where it says slideshow between animation and review? That should be it.
Yeah.
Then
you should... animations and review.
Yeah, then there's play from start, maybe. Okay, so if you find yourself here, this is see, it's gonna go through faster than I want it to. I don't want it to do that.
You can set the pace as to how fast it goes from slide to slide.
Yeah, it's supposed to do it on my click. So anyway, this is Poetic Voices, authentic expression through color, symbol, and words. So I am Lisa Ellen. I'm sure you guys know who I am. So this needs to stop. Okay, so I'm just gonna do it if it's okay with you guys. Let's see, how do I exit? Escape, there we go. Okay, this is where we are. This is who I am. So I'm the founder of Creative Soul-Journs, the creative director for Dreams and Vision. Some of you know what that is, some of you do not. So what we do at Creative Soul-Journs is we help women to learn to let go, express their hearts authentically, and to tap into their creative potential. Okay, so, and this is through the process of, some people call it art journaling. I like to call it vision journaling because it's really more than art, than learning artistic techniques and practicing them in a journal. So that's how I see an art journal. I see vision journaling it's an artistic practice, but it has more to do with expressing how you feel in an authentic way and doing that intuitively. So, all right, I gotta move my little box here because I can't read. Okay, or not. Here, we'll do that. Okay, so what do I mean by poetic voice? So I do have a couple of quotes here that I had written down, not really quotes, but definitions. So poetry is, what I mean by poetry is something that is expressive, figurative, and symbolic. So if you think about any poem that you may have read or written, if you like to write poetry, that is usually what it encompasses. It has and it has an expressive nature. It can be figurative in the language that it uses, and it's usually very symbolic. So this is how I see this idea of vision journaling. So I find it to be very poetic. So these voices that we have, your voice is basically who people, how they see you, what they see you as far as what you're about, what your morals are, or what you represent. And that is what your voice is. It's how the world sees you. So a poetic voice then would be a particular opinion or attitude that that a person expresses. Okay. These were supposed to go in order. So that point of view, usually it comes from much deeper places. You know what? I need to open this back up. Show grid. Okay. Sorry. I don't like not seeing people. Does anybody hear what I'm saying there? I don't like not being able to see people. Like when I do lives and I can't actually see people, it kind of bothers me. But so when you talk about expressing these things, they come from deeper places than just some knowledge that you might have acquired at some point in time. So it's this feeling that we have really, really deep inside, and we express it through in a vision journal through color, symbol, and word. So that's what we're talking about today. Poetic, and I love how it says this. It's having an imaginative or sensitively emotional style of expression. So these things, I think, all come together to explain what poetic voice is in the context of what we're talking about today, and with what I do in visions, dreams and vision. Sorry, I'm like stumbling over my words. So authentic, from my perspective, is a meaning where what you're doing belongs expressly to you. It belongs only to you. It's authentic because it comes from that deep place, and it's something that you do intuitively instead of, say, copying what somebody else does. Now, we all need to learn those things that that will bring us to that deeper knowledge of how to do a particular process, or how to explain certain things that we intuitively feel. But so that's what authentic is. And a poet is someone who actively focuses on the world around them and then contemplates the feelings they attach to these observations. So this is pretty much what we do in vision journaling. We might start with a prompt or a quote or something like that. We'll look at the world around us from that point of view, and kind of express how it makes us feel using, you know, all of these different things. So I'm so sad that my animations aren't working because they were really, really cool, or I couldn't figure it out. It's me, totally me, you guys. So, okay. So as I was just talking about, authentic expression is tapping into those deep places. So if you want to express yourself authentically, if you want to be somebody who stands out from this noisy world. So I was just having a conversation the other day with someone about how noisy it is on social media, on the internet. Everybody seems to have something to say right now, and everybody's just like throwing it up all over everything. And I get to the place sometimes where it's really, really overwhelming. And I feel like sometimes you just have to step back and tap into that deeper place inside of you that's going to tell you how you want to express this. So it has to do with emotion, your unique perspective in the world. So it'll have to do with the season that you're in, emotionally, or possibly with your family. Maybe you have young kids, maybe they're all gone. Maybe some of your kids live with you, maybe grandchildren. You know, there's all different perspectives that we will express ourselves from. And a certain word or scripture or quote or whatever you're looking at will mean one thing to you today. And in a year or 5 years or whenever it is that you get into a different season than you're in this moment, that same thing, word or scripture or quote, is going to mean a completely different thing because of your perspective, how you're, you know, just your experience in the world. So it's about discovering those things that are inside you that are going to help you to go deeper and see the world from a different perspective. So dreams and vision started a year ago. It actually started longer than a year ago. That was just when I put out my first course, was the beginning of January last year. But it began when COVID started, and my business, my day job, my business shut down because I'm an embroiderer and screen printer. My business shut down, and I had an opportunity to do something else because I had nothing to do. And I always worked from home. So it was a natural for me just to continue doing something else. So I started putting out, doing Facebook Lives every day. I think it was 6 days a week. And I did that for about, I want to say it was 6 weeks that I did it every day. Well, 6 days a week, not 7. And I just felt like there were so many people that were struggling, and they were focusing so deeply on all of the brokenness that was going on. And there was and continues to be a lot of that brokenness. But I thought that people needed something else to focus on besides all of the bad news. And they needed a way to express what they were feeling, which doesn't always have words. So we don't always have a way to say what we want to say, or if we say it, we get shut down or told we're wrong, or, you know, I mean, there's so many different things, and everybody's going to have an opinion. And again, this comes from that perspective of where they are and what they're dealing with. So what you're dealing with isn't always going to be what somebody else is dealing with. So their perspective and their opinions might be very different from yours, but that's okay because they're dealing with it in the way that they can. So anyway, to get off of that, Dreams and Vision, the course itself, started last year. It was a year-long vision journaling course where we had prompts and mindset work, and I had process videos, and we had all of this stuff. And the purpose of it was to create that habit, to give you different ideas of how to express the things that you wanted or needed to express in the context of those journals. It was a way to be really mindful of your creative expression and to experience some peace. So when I am working in my art journal or on an art project or a painting or what have you, a collage, I'm feeling very peaceful. It brings me to a place of contemplation where I can think about what's going on, not necessarily in the outer world, but what's going on in my inner world. And I can express it in a way that's authentic that day. So it brings me great peace. Even when I'm having a bad day, it brings me great peace to be able to have somewhere to put that and to step back from it. And, and then I can go and look at it another time. So vision journaling, I believe we kind of talked about it before, but it's an exploration into that inner world that you might be experiencing. It's a way to express those explorations. It's discovering new things about yourself that you might not have known that you even liked. How would you know that you liked to create patterns if you've never actually done it? So, and it gives you, I think that by expressing in this particular way, it gives you greater focus in the things that you want to see happen in your life. So that's why we call it dreams and vision. It's because the dreams aren't necessarily dreams you have at night, but they're the dreams that you have, the things that you want to see happen in your life in the future. So, and it's a vision for what that may look like. So that is an ever evolving type of a thing. It's not a one and done. It's not like you set a goal and you're there. It's this everyday walking out of something that will take you from where you are now to where you want to be. And it has a lot to do with building habits that are appropriate for what you want to see happen, and to be able to look at them every day as you might have one particular focus, and you might express that one focus in your journal every single day for a month. But if you look back at that first page and you look at the last page, that is going to, your focus is going to look a little bit different through that span of time, just simply because there's always outer things that are coming in and changing what that looks like and altering it, and things that you discover or learn that are going to change it even just a little bit. And I think through that process, you become more authentically who you are. Yes. Because you're not focusing on being what somebody else has shown you. You're experiencing it, and it transforms as you engage with it, and not necessarily someone else. So the course is for people who have dreams that they want to realize, that need somewhere to release tensions or stress or things from a day job or family situations or what have you. Somebody who has a vision for their life but wants somewhere to expand it and to really take a look at what it could mean and what it could really look like beyond what you're already seeing now. For somebody who is looking to have a creative transformation, maybe they're already an artist or a writer or an actor or, any type of creative expression, and they want it to become something more than where they are in this moment, or somebody who's simply looking for a life change and some way to go beyond where they are right now, to change their life, to possibly change a job, start a new business. There's all sorts of life change that we look for. So Dreams and Vision 22 is called Poetic Excavations, and it begins on Monday. And it looks a little bit different than it did last year. So I found that it was maybe a little bit intense for some people. It's difficult to keep up that everyday kind of a thing, but I do believe in building those habits. So I took a look at it. So this was my transformation from last year. I do have a word for this year. I don't know if you guys choose words, but my word is deeper. So basically through my, times of meditation and spending time with God, I was hearing go deeper, do it again. And I'll tell you about the next part in a minute. So we're going to have at the beginning of every month, there's going to be like a one-on-one like this where we can have conversation. I'm not gonna, I'll have a little bit of a teaching, a little bit of a mindset thing, but it's gonna be more one-on-one where we can actually have a conversation and talk about your intentions. So it's a prayer intention gathering, and it will be about an hour-ish, something like that. It really depends on how many people we have attend. The very first one is Monday, and that is going to be at 9 a.m. But we're going to talk about what would be a better time for the group as a whole. So I'm open to the times. But it will always be on a Monday. And even if that's not the beginning of the month, it might be the last day of the previous month. But I have a calendar all set out where you'll be able to follow it. So I see prayer and intention is very, very similar things. We will talk about that more in the gathering, but it's a prayer is something that you want to see happen. Usually it's something that you're giving to God, and intention is something that you want to see happen, and you're kind of giving it to your own heart. So I think they go together, and I really think that they can help each other to become something more. We will have every Monday, what's going to happen besides that first Monday of the month? Every Monday, there will be a video mindset session. So this is like the artist mindsets. We a lot of times we have these things that tell us we're not good enough, or, all of those types of things that we really need to realize the truth of a lot of those things. So there will be a weekly mindset session, on that Monday. Also, the daily prompts will come out. This is kind of a little bit out of order. So there will be a list of daily prompts and a quote along with it, and a process of how to express that. And then on Monday also, and it's all going to come out on Monday, and you can engage with it however you want throughout the week is the purpose. So there will also be a weekly journaling technique. So this is going to be this is how you put together a journaling page, and it will be all different pages, and you can use that particular process throughout all of those daily prompts for that week if you choose to, or use some other way that you know how to do it. I think that if you do something more than once. If you do it 5 days in a row, even if it's just for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it's going to help you to develop a more authentic, instead of just doing what I showed you how to do, you're going to develop your way of doing it, what you like, and it will become over those 5 days more authentically you. And it's a way to take all of those daily prompts, apply them to what you're going through and your goal and your transformation that you want to see happen, or your intention, and have it kind of move forward. Okay. So those 3 things will come out every Monday, and you use them as you wish throughout that week. Okay. Use them all, use none. It's entirely up to you. Once a month, there will be on a Wednesday, there will be a new bookbinding tutorial. So we're going to learn how to put together a really simple book today, but there will be a new book. So I believe that when you create your own journals, now you can totally buy a journal or write in a notebook for your journaling experience, whatever you want to do. But I think that when we put together our own books and our own things that we work in, I think it just brings more of us to that whole experience. And, it kind of lends itself to that whole idea of authenticity, being really authentic in how we're expressing things. So the paper that you choose and the colors and the ribbon that you might bind it with, or however you decorate your cover, the words that you put on there, these are all going to take that intention, that dream, that vision, and expand it and make it become more. And so a monthly bookbinding tutorial. So this course is 3 months. Okay. And after this 3 months, there will probably be another session, but I wanted to make it small enough where it was doable for people. So there's also, I have a creative vision box, which is a supply box. If you order the supply box, there will be a monthly deep dive into the things that are in that supply box. And it will be a series of videos, but it'll come out on 2 weeks after the bookbinding tutorial. So it's every other Wednesday, you'll have something additional. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? If you guys don't understand and you need me to explain something, just raise your hand or unmute yourself and just say, hey, I don't understand. And that's okay. Like I said, it's small enough today where we can totally do that. So yeah, no, my animations aren't working. So here we go. What is the investment? So this is an investment in yourself. And what are we talking about here? So this was the last part of my time with God that we were discussing how this was all going to go. So go deeper, do it again, and give it away. So, and this is kind of a hard for somebody from an entrepreneurial kind of a perspective. Last year, well, typically it's $20 a month for the subscription. So this is like a subscription kind of a membership, but for this quarter, at least, I am giving it away. So anyone who wants to participate in it will be able to engage in this for free. The Creative Vision box is outside of that, so that has a different cost on its own. I will put in the chat links for these things after we get done with this right here. At the end, I'll answer any questions that you have, put those things in the chat, and then you'll be able to kind of check out what that is all about. But I'm giving away the program I absolutely believe in what it can do for people. I saw and heard so many things last year, right within that very first month that people were engaging with the content, the things that people were realizing that they didn't even know, the transformations that they were experiencing, the forward movement in places where they were stuck, and they were able to move forward with whatever was going on. Don't want to get into people's personal things, but it really, really melted my heart that something that, I mean, I know how it's helped me over the years, but that something like this could help people to make progress and to work through things in their life that they really needed to work through. I believe art can really help to heal you from that mindfulness and that peace perspective. So that is my heart behind giving it away. And this is just a really peaceful picture. That's what we're ending on. So this is where I went on a hike up in the UP, and this is what we saw at near the end of our hike. And it just really, it was a beautiful thing. So I just thought, hey, peace, there you go. There's some peace. Okay, so does anybody have any questions so far? No? Everybody good? Excellent. Okay, so right over in this little corner over here, I have a book. Do you see? Here's my hand. Okay, so I have some equipment to make this much easier, but I am not using it yet because I couldn't figure it out. So I'm an old person and technology gets me. Just saying. It doesn't like me. So I have my phone set up over here and it's looking at the table. So we're going to create, this was just a little book that I did as a sample of the kind of thing that you can make with this. So this is the process that I'll be showing you how to do today. You can do it in any size of anything that you have. I had a supply list and I don't remember specifically what the supply list was, but I believe it started with 8 to 10 pieces of paper. So I'm using 9 by 12. It doesn't have to be 9 by 12. If you have little 4 by 5 sheets of paper, yep, those are scrapbook paper is totally great. I use that in there. You can use a blending of papers. You can use that. You can use printer paper. Now printer paper, some of those thinner papers, you need to be careful just simply because if you're going to put wet mediums on them, they'll get really, really warpy. So you can use gessos to make that a better experience, but I guess it just depends on what kind of supplies you have. Yeah, those are pretty, Heidi. Yeah, and those are actually a really, really nice size. So even if you have like old pieces of artwork that you want to tear up into pieces, or paper grocery bags. So I use paper grocery bags. So it's very distressing to my husband, but I throw nothing away. I have like boxes of junk mail and paper bags and just all kinds of stuff. I mean, I do need to go through it and kind of weed out some of the things I know I won't use, but anything goes in this particular process. And it's what I love about making my own journals. So I'm not stuck with what somebody else has told me that I need to use. I can, now I'm using, this is mixed media paper, but it's a little bit thinner. You could use watercolor paper, mixed media paper. Yep, excellent. Is that a watercolor, Heidi?
It is. It's watercolor paper, but it's also kind of like I don't know if it's similar, but it's kind of like a thicker cardstock type paper also.
Okay.
So I knew it would be good for gluing things and painting. type
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And so
So-
I found some of those.
Yeah. So, how I like to make journals typically is I will take, and I'll probably just do it all with the white paper today just for ease. But you can choose whatever you like. But every other paper will be something different. It'll be pieces of art. It'll be scrapbook paper. It'll be, you could even use book paper. So I get like old books, and this is a really old one. You do have to be careful on these, just simply because the older they are, the more delicate they are.
Right.
So you might want to put packing tape like along the edge to kind of strengthen that area where you're going to bind it, so it's not pulling out. You know what I mean? Because they do rip really, really easily, but they can be a really, really beautiful addition. And I love found word poems. So I really enjoy not reading for content, but reading for those words that just kind of pop out to you. And then I'll circle those, block out everything else, and then use that.
Okay.
So found word poems are great, great fun. But I also like children's books because their lettering is larger, and you can, especially the very first dictionary. Excellent, Mo. The ones that are for the real young kids, their lettering is really big, and it's usually really simplistic. And I love to choose words and things like that. Yes.
Oh,
Enough. I love, see, now that would be a word. Enough and
Yeah.
enter are two
Yep.
words I would totally cut out of there. Yep. So gather your paper. You can even use, like on this book, I covered it. I took a watercolor painting and cut it in half. So it was like this size, and I just cut it in half, and I use those as my front and back covers. So you have a front, you have a back. So that's how I did that.
So
So-
you said like these are I'm sorry to interrupt. These
No.
are cards that I've like collected from like
Oh,
maybe former students or family or whatever.
yeah.
So would these be best for like a cover or the backside? Or I guess I'm kind of wondering the thickness of each page, and are we writing on the actual pages, or are the pages supposed to be the expression itself and we like decorate the page?
So what this particular book is going to be is it's going to be a place for you to gather inspiration, whether it's color or it's symbolic, pictures or words, and you're going to gather these things. So for instance, the color blue to one person might be very calming, and to somebody else, it might bring up a memory that, so it's going to have a different meaning to different people. So we will go through the different things to put in the book once we make it. But this is, you can use really anything that you like, but how I imagine that we would use a book like this is that we'll be painting on it, and we'll be gluing things in, and then writing next to them,
Okay.
how does this make me feel? How would I use this? What would I express with this particular thing? So you might be having a really, really stressful day. So you'll have, and you want to express that on a page without actually saying anything. So you might paint the whole background yellow, because yellow makes you feel like you're all harried. And then maybe you'll put like some really crazy, creepy looking tree, because this is how you're feeling, right? I'm growing in this really weird way today, and you'll put that there. And then maybe you'll have one word that would either express that similar thought, or one that will bring you back to earth, like enough. You know, I might take the word enough and just simply put that in the middle of the page and say, you know what, even in this place, I'm enough.
Gotcha.
And it's not, you're not creating a work of art. You're expressing something where you can look back at it. And I go through my books, like at the end of the month, sometimes at the end of the week, at the end of the year. I just went through all of my books and took pictures of the pages that I really liked. And it brought back all of those things that I was feeling and all of those things that I needed to remember about where I was and where I am now and what that process actually looked like. Okay. So, this is a place to house those things so that when you don't know what to do or what to use, you can start going through this book for ideas. So this is how this is how I'm feeling. And here's my list of things that make me feel this way. And I can use this. And then you work in that way. Do you understand? So it's like a symbol library is kind of what this book was meant to be for today. So you can use it however you like, really.
Perfect.
Because it's your book. So you could use this as your journal and just start working in it. I mean, it's really up to you. I like mixed paper journals because I think they give you a jumping off point where you're not looking at a blank page. So for my journals, I usually do mixed paper journals, or I will paint up a bunch of papers and then tear those all up and put them in. So we are working with individual pieces today, not folded pieces. So a lot of books are put together as folded pieces, but these we're just going to stack up single pieces and then bind them together. Okay. So
Is it okay if I already folded them up and I can just unfold them?
you can unfold them and tear them in half. We're going to work on that next. Okay. So you
what
can
size?
also, what's that?
What size? I know you said it doesn't matter, but I mean, obviously I don't want to use, this big.
Well, what do you think you'd like to use for a cover? So that's where I usually begin. Like I have this really old book cover that I'm going to use.
Wow.
And it's
Very cool.
probably, I don't know, 4.5 by 6, maybe 4.5 by 5.5. I'm not really sure. And I want to
guess
make all of my pages about this size.
I
That's
guess
how I'm
I'm
gonna roll.
thinking just fold this in half. So probably about half the size of a regular sheet of paper.
Okay.
Sound
So when
right?
I made this one, and it can be any size that you want it to be. This is, let's see, it is 6 by 4.5. And I know that because my original piece of paper was 9 by 12. So I folded it in half and tore it. And then I folded those halves in half and tore them. So I'm going to show you a really easy way to do that next. You can use a paper cutter if you like, but as far as where you're going to start, like with whatever size, if you have something you want to use as a cover, do it according to that size. If you don't, and you just want, or, if you want to use one of those cards, like if you want to tear that card in half, use one of the pieces inside and one as the cover. Yeah, beautiful.
Can you read that?
Yep. Aww.
It was a birthday card from my sister from Meg, actually, last year. It says, "Don't be depressed about."
It reminds me of the giving tree. You remember the giving tree?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. I love that. Is that what
maybe
it's
I'll use that?
That's what it reminds me of.
I have this little like a manila folder. I was gonna, maybe make it a little bit smaller, and it's, kind of nice. It's old.
I love it.
It's already folded up and everything. So
you're gonna use that as your cover?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. So yeah, I would just, tear it in half and then decide, you know, how big do you want it to be? You know,
So
even
should I-
that, what's
I'm
that?
sorry. Should I tear these papers in half then? Because I already folded them. This is like 9 by 12.
Okay, yeah,
What do you
we're
think?
not, like I said, you can make it whatever size you want. You could do a 9 by 12 book if that's what you wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
But you can tear them to be, or cut them to be smaller if that's what.
And that's fine. That would
wanna
work.
do.
Just like this size would be just fine for our purposes.
Yep.
Okay.
But we're not going to sew them together. So a folded piece of paper, unless you're going to bind it along the fold in that direction, which you can
Okay.
do, unless you're going to do that, I would probably tear it in half. So I am going to move over to my other location here.
Yes.
So I'm disappearing, sort of. See the side of my head, but you guys can still hear me, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, so it says the Authentic Artist Journal. I think that's really cool. And dreaming. Love it. Love it. So these are the book covers that I want to use. All right. And the pages, like I said, I have 8 pieces here, and this is 9 by 12 paper, and it's mixed media paper. So I imagine that I can get probably 3 pieces from this, from one piece of paper for this book. And I probably should have done this ahead of time, but I did not. So I apologize for that. But the easy way, now this is usually how I do it. And this is a 4-inch book. So it's about 4.5. So actually this in half will probably totally work. And usually I do it on a cutting mat so that I can see the measurements, but I have it all covered up right now, and it'll just take time to uncover that, and I don't want to mess with that. So I use acrylic rulers a lot, just simply because you can see through them, and I think it makes it easier. So, and if you use the acrylic rulers, you can just tear your paper. It ends up with that rough edge, which some people don't like, but I think it's kind of cool.
So how big is your pages going to be?
They are going to be, well, they're going to be 4.5 wide. And I'm not sure how long yet, because I'm just going to tear it to the size of the book. And I'm not exactly sure what that size is. So so this is my process of letting go of perfection. I try not to get too wrapped up on everything being a perfect size or perfect shape. If I have things sticking out, I try not to worry about it. Now, this is a little bit wider, which I probably will need to trim that a little bit, and that's okay. But I would.
So if I tear each of my sheets in, they'd be like 9 by 6.
Yeah.
If I tore that in, okay, so I should go ahead and tear.
Yeah, if you have a 12 by 12 sheet and you tear it in half, you will have a 6 by 12.
Okay.
So if you want to do it 6 by 12, you can. If you'd like to do it 6 by 6, you could just tear your half sheets in 2 half sheets. And then you'll have 4 pieces that will come from that one sheet. But if you're using different size papers, you might end up with pages that are smaller than other pages, which I think is okay, but it just depends on what you want for your book. So my book cover that I'm using here is 6 3/4. So I'm going to tear them at 6.5. So basically I'm just going to, and I could use my book cover as the little tearing thing. Or yeah, I think I will. Because I like when the pages go all the way up to the edges. If you want to make it a little bit smaller, you can do that.
Mhm.
So I didn't do it how I imagined I would at first, because I really thought that I was going to get 3 pages out
Story of
of,
my life.
huh?
Story of my life. I didn't do it how I intended to do it.
But
Right
I
here,
love
man.
that process, because you know what? Some of the things that I've discovered that I love more than anything else is because I didn't do it how I thought I was going to do it. So, and I think that that's the beauty of working in a journal and just seeing what ifs. So it's
Yeah.
not for making something perfect. It's for discovering something deeper about yourself, you know? So
Yeah.
that's how I imagine it anyway.
I don't know. The idea of
Okay.
ripping stuff makes me so uncomfortable.
What makes you uncomfortable?
The idea of ripping stuff. I cut mine out with my
Oh.
scissors and
And you can if you have a paper cutter, I mean, I have one of those guillotine
I
paper
do.
cutters. Yeah, or those, you know, that's fine too. Whatever makes you happy, I
Right.
think you should totally do.
Nice neat lines make me happy.
Oh, well, there you go. See, I like that vintage. It's kind of like this book cover. It is destroyed. I mean, it's
Yeah.
absolutely destroyed. Most
Mhm.
people would just throw that in the garbage. Now, I think that makes a really cool
Yeah.
cover.
Yeah.
See, I love, the thing is though, I love that sort of stuff. That's the thing that's so like difficult, is I love that stuff, but for me to do it, I'm like, I don't, because I like everything to be all nice and neat and, you know.
So why is that? Why does the imperfection bother you?
But yeah, I love it. That's what's so weird. Like, I
Yeah.
love it when I see it done as a project, but yet, like when I'm doing this now, I'm like, no, I want it all to match and be all, I don't know.
So that's something that you could dive in a little bit deeper and discover why that is, because you love how it looks, yet
Right.
you don't like to do it. So maybe the process of not doing it the way that you tend to do it, but doing it
Right.
in a way that's different. So it's
Right.
that process of saying, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be, I'm going to break the mold,
Right.
do it a different way. Right.
Right. Yeah, it's all about control. That's the counselor answer in me. It's all about control.
I wasn't going to say it, Heidi. I didn't want to say, well, maybe you just have like control issues, but
Yep.
you
Nope,
know,
Yep.
I don't know.
Well,
It's
you know, I
not
guess
for me to
it's
say.
no, but I guess it's the thing that, like, you know, in life, you like to control the things you can control, because you know there's so much you can't control,
Well, there is a lot of truth in that.
you know, and that is this is one of those silly, simple things that fits that mold, you know.
Well, because it's something that you can actually absolutely do something about,
Right.
and nobody
Right.
can tell you that you can't.
Right. And there are some things in life that you've completely zero control over.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think most things in life you have zero control over.
Well, you know, it's
know-
funny because, yeah, I talk a lot about how we need to realize that we think we have control, but we really don't have any control.
We don't.
We're
We
really
don't.
fooling ourselves by cutting our paper perfectly.
Maybe. Yeah, see, it's a metaphor.
Right.
You know, I think that the only thing we can truly, truly control is our reaction to something,
Amen.
whatever it
Yes.
is, for good and
Right,
bad.
right. No matter what happens to you, it's your reaction to it that
Absolutely.
is the driving takeaway from all
Yes.
that. Yes.
100% agree. Yes.
Yeah.
Are you a counselor?
I have a degree in counseling, but I'm a teacher.
I'm a counselor.
Ah, well, there you go.
I find
we
it
go.
kind of amusing.
Look at us, all three of us into psychology, and here we are ripping paper.
Well, I'm trying to rip paper. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm trying. I'm working on it.
So I'm tearing the one that was bigger than the other one, I'm tearing it smaller, which is actually going to make it even smaller than my other pages because I didn't measure anything, which is, it's my fault. But I'm letting go. I'm letting
but you're
go.
good with it, so that's good.
I'm letting go of that need for it to be perfect now, which is good because I have this paper that's not cooperating. Yeah, because it's just how that rolls. Okay.
All right, look, I'm ripping. Look at me rip.
Look at her go. She's ripping the paper.
Woo! So I have these uneven pages here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I'm going to do to make them a little bit, little more purposeful in the unevenness is I'm going to take one from each pile and I'm just going to keep going around. So 1, 1, 1, 1 until I have a stack of all of my pages.
How many pages are we supposed to be ripping total?
It doesn't matter. However many you want.
Looky there, I ripped
Now,
it. Look at me.
So here's my stack. I have a small paper and a big paper, and then a small paper and an even smaller paper.
Okay.
So none of them match up, and it's okay.
Yep, it is okay.
It is.
It'll make it more interesting that way.
I am putting the straight edge all up at the top though. And you don't have to. I mean, if you totally want to be a rebel, you don't have to do that. But I'm going to do that just so that it's kind of clean up at the top. So I do have my moments. We were talking about it before you popped in today, Heidi, about my OCD moments.
Yes.
And it has to do with control.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's never in the things that you would traditionally think would be good things to be OCD about. It's
Right.
weird things like, is the tablecloth on my table straight?
Right.
How weird is that?
Oh, no, I understand. I understand
You
more
know?
than you know. Yeah.
But then other things, I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yep.
don't
No,
know.
I
I can't
totally
figure
get
it
it.
out.
Yeah.
So
Situation.
check out, I've got to show both of you this paper. Look at this paper I just found.
Ooh, that's beautiful. Where did you get that? That's gorgeous.
That
Well,
has
I
some
used-
really great words there, Heidi.
I know. And so I used to do a lot of scrapbooking when my kids were little, and I
Yeah.
went through my scrapbook collection and I found my stash of paper, and that's where I found this. Yeah.
It is beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So now I would
Yeah.
cut all those words out or
Yeah,
use
Well, I
them
was
for the
just
letters.
reading. I was just reading some of them and I'm like, okay, maybe I can take some of these words, cut them out. So I need to read them and
Yeah.
choose, which ones. This one is really neat. It's not always about the ending.
Ooh,
Ooh, did we hear that?
I
So
like that.
I have this quote from Michael Hyatt. It was in my, I got his focus journal, or not, planner, the focus planner.
Okay. Mhm.
And it says, a goal is not about what you accomplish. It's about who you become.
Ooh.
Ah,
I love that.
mhm,
And I feel like that's kind of what this is all about,
mhm.
is about becoming
Yes,
something.
right.
Okay. So even though all of my pages are different sizes, and I think that's really interesting, it's going to make a really interesting book where even when I'm on one page, I'll be able to see something peeking out from the page underneath, which I think is interesting.
Hmm.
I'm going to make sure everything is meets up at, so it's called knocking. And basically you want all of your pages to be even up at the top,
Up at the top, okay.
up at the top.
I don't have all my
We're gonna
pages cut out
bind
yet because I'm
this.
being so not.
I mean, this
fully,
could be a sideways journal, but I imagined it from the perspective of more being from the top.
Oopsie.
Okay.
Paper. Oh boy.
Now, another thing that you can choose is you can choose to work on your papers before you bind them together and then bind them together. But I think this is a long process journal. You know, it's something that you'll be working on more than just in one sitting. So we're just going to go ahead and bind it together and then work.
So if I, knock and all these at the top are all together.
Yep.
Should I put my journal like this or like have them off to the side? I mean, with the fold on the, the file thing.
Okay. I would. Did you want, I don't know. Were you going to cut that folder even more?
Yeah, I did tier 1 and I made it a little bit too short, but I could either have it like this way and have it just like, flap it up, have them like this and then have them.
Oh, you
to
could.
the side, is that what you're, yeah. So like that, and then just cut off this side here.
Yep.
Would
You
that
could
work?
do that. The only thing is that if you have a lot of papers, they're not going to go all the way into that crease. So now those creases on those, don't they have like graduated kind of like little?
Yeah.
Okay. So where whatever the thickness of your stack of papers is, you're going to want to make folds around those edges. But yeah, you could totally do that without cutting it apart.
So how many pages? I know you said it doesn't matter, but I have so few pages.
Well, I probably have, because I had 8 pieces that I cut basically in 4s and I'm using all of those pieces. So
wow, 32 pages.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But it could be 10, 12. It doesn't matter.
I'm just not as fast at ripping as you are.
That's because you're cutting.
I'm not. Look, I ripped. I already graduated to ripping.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Kind of liberating.
Is it?
Must have been what the women felt like in the 60s, burning their bras.
Okay. So when you say 32, is that 32 total or 32 front and back?
32 total is what I had. So I had 8 pieces of paper. I cut them in half. So that's 16. And then I cut those 16 in half, which is 32.
Okay. I'm going to start. I have more ripping to do then.
Me too. Me too.
Well, you don't have to do 32. I'm just using all the paper that I cut from those 8 pieces. And mine is a much smaller book too. So, and my pages are actually bigger than my book, but that's okay. I'm letting go.
She's letting go.
Letting
go.
Yep.
Letting go. Let's see
Yes,
what I did with that other cover. Okay. So I have a front and I have a back, and I'm just going to go ahead and put them on. Again, knocking at the top. So I have my flat, I have the flat edges up here. I think it's really nice and smooth and pretty. And actually this side is all nice and smooth and pretty too. And actually I have a page that did not get knocked down. I need to go in there and make it go down. Okay.
Right. Force it.
Yes. Yes. Talk to my family. I'm really good at that. I want you to do it yourself, but if you don't do it my way, I'm going to make you.
Right.
I'll show you. Do it however you want, but this is the way I would do it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a whole different issue.
Oh, boy. Glad I'm not alone in that.
I think it's just the nurturing part of us that we want the best for our kids. So we want them to do things in the way that we've learned is probably the right way over time. But I don't know. Is it right? It's right for us.
Right.
Just saying.
Yep.
Okay. So, and then I have all of these rough edges. I love that rough edge look. Now I can go through later and I actually have a corner punch where I can cut off all these corners, which I might end up doing. But for right now, I'm just rolling with it. Now, this stack is too wide to fit in my hole punch. So I have a crocodile. Do you know the crocodile, Heidi?
No, I've never even heard of that.
Oh, yeah, it's basically a hole punch.
How to
but
use it.
It's a hole punch on steroids.
Wow.
So it's really, you can go through a stack of pages, but it has to fit in. So this doesn't quite do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take half of these pages and my cover. I'm going to set the other one aside and make sure that they're all down. And I'm going to punch a hole in the middle of the book. Now you can mark these if it would make you feel better. I don't know. What does everybody have to punch holes?
I can go get my crocodile. But I
just have a 3-hole puncher.
Okay, well, the 3-hole punch may or may not work if you can't.
Right. I can just mark
if it's
them
not
and then
that
do a
size,
quick-
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
I can
you
just mark
could,
them.
you could just do like if the top of your book fits into 2 on the end, and then you can just put 1 in the middle.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
Yep.
So
I'm still ripping my pages though.
that's fine. Just you can just go ahead and listen.
Yep.
So I'm just putting a little mark, and this is about maybe a 1/2 inch from the edge. I'm putting a mark in the center, and then I'm not stuck with using something that already has it laid out for me. So
Right.
I just made 3 marks, and I'm going to punch them there.
Okay.
So just 3 holes at the top, kind of evenly spaced.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
3 holes at the top, evenly spaced on
Yeah,
for the
kind
stack
of.
of papers.
So I put 1 in the middle, and then I go about 1.5 inches to 2 inches on the outsides of that middle one, you know, and I usually just eyeball it. Again, I don't get worked up about that.
Okay.
But if you want to measure, use a ruler and make them 1 inch apart or 2 inches apart. And it really, again, that's going to just depend on the size of your book as to, you know, how much, how far apart you can make them. Now this cover is it's thicker cardboard, so it's kind of hard to punch. So I have to stand up to do that.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
How much, how into the hole be? Can I see?
About
yours?
1/2 inch.
Okay.
I would go 1/2 inch in so it doesn't end up ripping.
Okay.
So what I do when I get to this point, where I've only cut half of the stack of papers because that's what would fit in the crocodile here. So what I end up doing is taking my book, stacking it on top of the other half, and then I take a pencil or a pen or whatever you have, and I go down through those holes and make, let's see. And make a mark so I know where to So I know where to punch the holes. So they'll line up because you want them to line up, right?
Right, right.
All right.
Oh, that's not even in the, yeah. It's not in the middle. Oh,
It doesn't matter. Let it go. Let it go, Mo.
okay.
Okay. All right. I love this thing, but I'll tell you.
Yeah, this will be my first time actually like using it. Now I'm glad I have you as a tutorial.
Did you go and get one of those recently? Because
No,
of that
well,
class?
no, I've had this
Oh.
for a long time. I just have never used it.
Ah. Yeah, they're challenging. Oh, okay. Thought I cut it wrong, but I did not. All right. And the last hole here.
Well, you're quick with that. I just did the first.
Do you have them bound together? I mean, clipped together so they don't move?
No.
No, you might want to do that because they will move.
All right.
So binder clips work great for that. If you don't have binder clips, whatever you have, that will help it to not move. Even a rubber band might work. Okay. Now I do have a book awl as well. And I'm going to use a yarn. Now I've got like silk sari ribbon here. I could use this off-white, but I think I would like to use this. It's kind of like a brownish color because it kind of reflects the old spine binding. And I really like that. So love this color. I'm gonna use that. All right, so I have about, let's see. Probably about 12, 14 inches of this ribbon. And you can use yarn, string, like kitchen string works, cotton string,
Oh, yeah.
a heavy upholstery thread will work. You don't want to use just a regular thread because they'll break. So string and yarn and ribbon and things like that. Not a real wide ribbon though, because you're going to have to fit it through those holes. And if you have holes versus just punching something with like when I first started doing bookbinding, I used vintage ice picks to put holes in my things, which is totally fine. But it doesn't leave that large of a hole. So being that you guys are all punching your holes, it'll be okay not to have to thread your yarn. You know what I mean? So if you have an embroidery needle that has a really wide eye in it, that's always helpful. Or if you have linen thread, like bookbinding thread is really nice to use, just simply because it's narrow, but it's strong. And you don't have to worry about it breaking or anything like that over use. Okay, so I am going to start, and I just kind of cut my yarn to a point, a kind of point-ish, and I'm going to feed it through that center hole. So this is called a pamphlet stitch, basically is what it is. A lot of great uses for pamphlet stitches. And I'm going to pull it almost all the way through. Now I have a knot in my sari ribbon right here, so that's a great place to stop. So it's about maybe 4 inches that I left as a tail out the front. And I'm turning it over to the back, and I'm going to go in one of the other holes. And it doesn't matter which hole you choose, doesn't matter at all. And if you have trouble getting it through, take a pair of pointy scissors or a book awl if you have, and you can just push it through, or a needle. Pull it all the way, and then it's going to go all the way over to the other hole. Okay, so you have your center one where you started. You came through back to the front through one of the holes, either one, doesn't matter. You're going to go down through the only hole that's left. And then this one will be a little bit harder to get through because you've already got something in there. So that's where using a needle, an embroidery needle, or a really skinny pair of scissors, and if they're really pointy, will work. You want to push that through, or if you're threading your needle. If you're threading your yarn on and using a needle. All right, see, I'm not seeing it yet. If you can thread it into a darning needle or something like that, you'll have a much easier time doing it. So you might want to make it easier on yourself and do that. So you'll have 2 coming out of that center hole, and then the one that goes all the way across. So you want them to be on opposite sides of that center one, so that when you tie it, it'll hold that down. Okay. Now you can just tie it in a knot, but then your yarn or your ribbon or whatever you're using will spread out like this. So if instead you wind them, just kind of wind it up together, and then just create a knot like that. Did you see how I did that? Basically, you're just winding it around your finger and then putting it through the hole. You know what I'm talking about? Everybody get that? Yeah. So then what that will do, and then just push that knot as far down as you can. What that'll do is it'll allow it to go straight up. Now it doesn't have to be really tight, and your knot when you make your knot. And here's the reason. So don't worry about it if it's not terribly tight. When you open up your book, you want it to be able to move a little bit. And if it's too tight, it isn't going to want to move. Okay. So if you're using a hard cover, it'll be harder, but mine is loose enough where that's working out. All right, so then I have all of my pages inside that I can work on. Okay, and it's cute, and I don't have to do anything to the cover because I think it's really cool, just as it is. Okay, any questions?
I can't think of any right now.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit while you're finishing up what you're doing. And if you have questions, please stop me. But I'm just going to talk a little bit about the kinds of things that you can put in your in your journal. And how, and we'll work on a page or two, but I want to show you some of the things that I picked out. Now I did get some letters. I cut out some letters ahead of time, and they are just from a magazine. So what I like to do when I'm working in looking for letters, if you work in one, if you cut your letters all out of one magazine, if you've ever looked through a magazine, they tend to have all of, they use a certain grouping of fonts. So usually they won't have any more than 3 to 5 maximum when you look throughout a magazine. So all of their headings will have a particular look, and, you know, it creates consistency in their magazine. So if you cut all of the letters for a particular book out of that one magazine, you're going to have that consistency too. They might be different sizes, but they will all go together. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So I did cut out the letters for the type of journal this is, and it's an awake dreamer. So a dreamer being, you know, someone who has a dream, but we're doing this while we're awake, not asleep. We want to be aware, maybe aware would be a better word, but I really like awake dreamer. And I will probably glue these right onto the front. Now I could do it down the side. Maybe awake could go down the edge of it. And then dreamer across the bottom. I hate to cover up all this really beautiful scroll work that they have on the front of this book, but putting some lettering or a word so that you can identify what that book is all about is kind of a cool thing to do. I will probably look for a W that doesn't have green around it, because it's not going with everything else that's going on in my book. And I'll probably put it down here, like it better down here. Okay, so before you glue things down, obviously you move them around to see where you like the look of things, and change whatever you don't. But I think that's kind of cool. I will probably glue that down at a future point. But I do want to talk about the kinds of things that you can gather for the inside of your book. So this is about gathering tools to help you navigate those things that you're thinking about, and that you're working through, and that you're, you know, navigate emotions, or navigate your dream or your vision, or, you know, whatever your purpose is. Everybody has a different purpose. You know, I hate to put you in that box of, you know, this is how you need to look at this, because that's not what it's about. It's about your authentic voice, about, you know, expressing what you want to, whatever that is, in an authentic way to you. So I really like to use magazines, just simply because they have a lot of great words, a lot of great color, a lot of great images that are really easy to access. And I like to recycle. I'm a big recycler. And I don't like to just fill landfills. So which is probably why they're all in my house. But a landfill, that's what my husband would call it, the landfill, my studio. Actually, right now I'm in my living room, because I'm drywalling my studio, and I can't get in it because it's all packed up. Anyway, so how I would go about working in this type of a journal, you know, expressing these this authentic these authentic expressions through color and symbol and word is, first of all, is I would start gathering words that mean something. So I just quickly kind of cut this out this morning. And I'm very intuitive about this process. So I will just flip through pages of a magazine, and it's usually the bigger words that will get me. I don't read the magazines. I just look for those things that stand out most. And what I saw here, actually, the very first thing that I saw was summer. So I just cut the whole thing out. You know, ing is something that I could add to another word at some other point in time, you know, maybe arting. I don't know, but I will throw all of the letters into, like, I keep a box just for letters or words, and I'll put them all in there. So when I need something, I will go looking through there usually to do that, unless I have another magazine that I'm going through. So summer for me is a season of life. Okay. So I look at the seasons not as seasons necessarily. I look at them as periods of time of things that I'm going through. So summer is going to be expressive of a very bright time, a growth period of time in my life. That season when you're where everything is fresh and growing and bright and sunny. Okay, so that's how I see summer. So what I might do, if I wanted to put this in my book, is I would glue this in, maybe at the top of the page or at the bottom of the page, it really doesn't matter, or possibly even going along the side. And then let's see, we'll just go ahead and do this because we're talking about it and we might as well. So this is kind of the process and how you'll go about most of your pages. So I'll put in summer. I'm just going to put it at the top, I think, here. And I'm just using a glue stick. I love the Yoo-hoo sticks because they never fail me. They don't peel back up. It's a lovely thing. Okay, so I'll have summer, and then I have a pen here somewhere. Here's my pen. And then what I would do is I would make a couple notes about what that summer means to me. So it's a season of light, growth, beauty, it's a season of fresh, new, and yeah, I think that's enough. Okay, so I have some words here that explain what using that word in my journal might mean to me. Okay, now I can take this even farther on this page or on another page. So we can use color to express how we're feeling. Okay, so if I were thinking about this summer and light and growth and beauty and fresh and new, and I think about all of those words, what color palette would I imagine that to be? Okay, so it might be just like what's in the background of this. It's like a pink and a green. So I might take some of the colors that I have. And this is just a pink. It's light pink, basic acrylic.
Lisa, is there a way to get a little bit closer to your table to see what you're doing? Because I can, it
Yep.
says a little there. Well, okay.
How's that? Is that better? Let me turn on a light here. The light was causing a weird. How is that?
Because we're trying to see up at the top of the screen here, a little square. There's me, there's your couch.
I
there's
gotcha.
the her, and then there's, yeah, there we go.
Okay.
That's better.
Here, let me see if I can loosen this up and move it.
Because
All
the
right.
big screen, we're looking at your pillows and the side of your shoulder and your beautiful hair. And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
really-
but
yeah.
oh, I
So
gotcha.
I'm looking
So
up there.
I think you can make an
squinting.
adjustment on your thing where it only looks at who's talking.
I see you talking, but I see that this little small
Oh,
square at the
yeah.
top with what you're making.
You know
Yeah.
why? Because I'm talking through this picture and not this
Okay.
picture.
Ah,
Sorry
okay.
about that.
that's
Okay,
okay.
is that close enough? Is that better?
I can make it out. Yeah, as because you're explaining it as you're talking. So yeah.
Okay, let me tighten this up here. Okay. I gotta make sure I keep it in the thing now. So I have this light pink here that might be a color that I use for this particular season. So if I want to express summer in a way that isn't related to a word, I want to think about all of these different words that I just wrote down that summer represents to me. So I have this pink color here. I have a green marker that's kind of a fresh green color. So maybe I want to take this and draw a plant that's in its new, well, this would be more spring, I suppose. So maybe, I think I have a pink one of these as well. So maybe I want to just draw some flowers. And I'm not getting too crazy about what my flowers look like right now, because that's not what it's all about. Okay. So I'm creating this page that has all of these representations of what summer, how it could be represented in my journal. Okay. So maybe I want to, I have some pastels. So I want to represent this color in as many ways as I can with whatever I have. So I use a lot of different types of materials when I'm working in a journal. So I have pastels and I have markers and I have acrylics and I have chalk and I have gelatos, which this is actually a summery color too. So this might, this pink reminds me of like that word new, but summer I see as kind of like this idea of, I love this blue. Okay, and these are water soluble crayons, basically is what they are. And this is a water soluble pastel, so, or oil pastel. So I'm just going to blend it around with that. So I'm just creating representations on my page of this word. Okay, so you can go about that, about your pages with that sort of a pattern. Now that you can also use mark making as something that's very representative of a particular feeling. So this was, I had gathered a whole bunch of things that were in color families. And this was one of the ones that was in with the pink. And it has this interesting pattern on it that is kind of circular. And it's kind of like how I like to do things sometimes. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this on here too, because I want to fill up my page. I mean, you don't have to, but. And it's not going to stick to oil pastels very well, but it'll stick to the rest of it. All right. And then down in here, in this other little area, I might use my pink marker that I made the flowers with and repeat some of these lines that are going on there. So it's kind of circular. I love circles. I use circles a lot in the things that I do in my journals. They appear all the time. Okay, so for me, this would be a complete page. And I feel that it represents that idea of summer. Now, you can also use these journals from the perspective of, whoops, I should have folded that over. That was my bad. And I can glue that back in. So don't do your knot real tight. You want to be able to move your pages, or you'll probably have to fold them up, which is what I should have done, but I just ripped my page out, but that's okay. Okay, so now I want to maybe create a color palette. If I wanted to use this book from the perspective of color, I can. Now I've cut out all kinds of, again, I have the magazine things. So if you're looking for inspiration on different colors and how they go together, you can just look in a magazine and find pages that inspire you. So like this page right here, I love this page as a whole. It has all the colors that I really, when I was thumbing through a magazine, like page after page after page, when I got to this one, it made me stop. So that's that intuitive part. I love the off-white. I love this, this very fall type of yellow. So it's like a yellow ochre. This very vintagey looking flowers over here. I love the wood and the browns. And then with this pop of white here, I think it looks beautiful together as a palette. So maybe I will try to recreate some of that on a page. Okay. Now, when I look at this page, it makes me feel very centered. Okay. So these colors for me, and it might make somebody else feel something completely different, but it isn't about what it makes other people feel. It's about what it makes you feel. And this is how, your pages are going to be very authentic to who you are. So, I'm going to take I have some charcoal here. And this is a handmade charcoal, and it's very hard. It doesn't work, or pastel, I'm sorry. It doesn't work on the page as nicely as a really soft pastel does, but you can just use water on it and then use it as a paint, which I really love because it's really heavy in pigment. So I have that yellow that was in there. I have some brown, kind of the same type of a thing. And this is a burnt umber. So maybe I'll put this over here. Okay. Move it around with some water. And again, we're just creating a color palette. This one doesn't move quite as nicely as the other one. And I'm going to pull out all of the various mediums that I have in that particular color. Maybe do some mark making on here. And so that's kind of going along with some of these darker browns that I'm finding in the wood here. I have a marker that is along those lines. So I might do a little bit of mark making with that. And just, you know, it's a good opportunity to explore the different things that your the tools that you have, the supplies that you have. It's a good opportunity to explore what they can do. Okay. Let's see, I have an off-white gelato, so that's going to kind of go along with some of these creamier off-whites. And gelatos are really fun. I've had them for years and years, and they sat in a drawer and I never did anything with them. I have to say they're becoming very quickly one of my favorite tools. Okay, and it's already a white page, so I don't necessarily need to worry about putting any white on it because the page is already white. But I also have some, this is Naples yellow. So maybe some Naples yellow. A second, I gotta wipe off my brush. Paper towel. Paper towel is always a good thing to have nearby. And so this is an even deeper color than the one that we did with the pastel, but I can work on some marks with that as well with my brush. I love how they all look next to each other. So I do need a little bit of green. So I think there's some greens that are in here in this picture. And I really like those. I think they look nice along with all of these other colors. So and through exploring all the different ways you can use your implements, you'll discover some unique marks that you like to make, which also lends to that whole authenticity kind of a thought there. And let's see. I already used that one. And then maybe this green pastel as well. Okay. Okay, so one last thing that I want to put on here is a color swatch that kind of goes along with all of these colors that I have here. And this is something that I cut out of a magazine and I absolutely love it. And I think I would like to put it right in, oh, I don't need that, right in the middle, off to the side maybe of my page here. And it kind of feels like it's going to unify it a little bit. Okay, and my paint's still wet, so I need to be careful there a little bit. And I did not leave any room for journaling how that color palette makes me feel. So I think that what I'm going to do, and I have an old book paper here, is I'm going to cut off a section of the edge of it. So I'm just going to cut off like some of the white area here. And I'll write on here whatever notes that I wanted to make about how this palette makes me feel. And then I can just staple it right to the edge of the paper. I could glue it on as well. Then I would probably end up covering up a lot of the marks that I've made here, which is okay, but I think I'm just going to staple it on there, and I don't have a stapler with me, so I will do that after. So I'm going to do that after. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'll just put that right in there. So I am going to fold my piece this time instead of trying to force it up and tearing it out of my book. Okay, so the last thing that I want to show you is, now you already get the idea of the words, you know, choosing words that mean something to you. Maybe they express your journey or something that you want to have happen, or a goal that you're working towards. Different words will represent those. And I suggest that you whittle them down as small as you can. So instead of big phrases, I mean, quotes are great and phrases are great and poetry is great, but if you can infuse all of that idea and all of that feeling and all of that emotion of what you're looking at or what you're looking for or wanting into one word, if you can find one word that expresses that, I think that's a beautiful thing. I love to see pages that have all kinds of color and symbol and, you know, representative, they're representative of bigger things, but then they'll have one word, just one word that kind of unifies it all and brings it all back together. So, but the last thing that I want to show you here is symbols, using symbols in your journal. So I have a flower here. So now this might be a symbol of growth for me, or a symbol of blooming. Actually, I like the idea of a flower that is in full bloom. Is a great representation of becoming, of coming into your own, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So I will glue a piece down on the page like this, and then maybe because this is our idea book. So I'll write feeling of becoming. Beauty at last. So maybe you've gone through a really dry period and beautiful things are coming from all of your efforts, you know, at this point. So maybe you want to put, you know, a beautiful blooming flower on your page. And so that it would represent that beauty at last. So coming into your own. So that's that feeling of becoming. Growth beyond. Beyond the small things. So, you know, if you think of a flower, when it first starts growing, you know, it has the little leaves and it has the little buds and it's just starting to become what it was always meant to be. But then when it actually blooms into that full, beautiful flower, it's growth beyond those small beginnings. Okay, so maybe a flower bud would be small beginnings. So choose a picture that you intuitively love, and then think about all of those things that it could mean to you, all of those things that it could express for whatever it is that you're feeling. Now, I also, and I'm not going to go deep into creating more of these, but houses are great things to put in a journal. They can have a lot of meaning beyond just where you live. So a lot of people will choose a house that out of a magazine that's, you know, this big elaborate mansion or whatever, and oh, this is where I want to live. But instead, what I'd like you to think about is what there are all different kinds of houses that they'll have in a magazine. So some of them might be rock houses, and a rock house might be something very organic. It might give you that organic feeling, or one that's a log home might give you a feeling of getting back to nature. So you can use all of these things to represent yourself. Houses usually in dream language. So I have a friend who's really big into dreams. She sees houses as being representative of your life, as where you dwell. Okay, so maybe you dwell in a very spiritual world. So instead of using a house, you would want to use a church. Or maybe you want to get back to nature, get back to the beginning, get back to who you organically are. So you would use that log home or a wood-sided home, or something vintagey or ancient, like my house is really old. But you know, you get the point. So the type of house that you choose is going to also have a deeper meaning. So I want you to look more into the deeper meanings of what these things could represent for you. So this is something that will be ongoing, and you'll just keep adding to it and creating these pages. I encourage you to journal how they make you feel, how the colors around them, like even this flower has this really beautiful blue color around it. So that makes me think of going back to the ocean, which I think I forgot to mention that part of, like, if you're in the Dreams and Vision course, if you decide to join, and it's free. So, I mean, I would love for you to come and, you know, participate in that. We are going to have a retreat at the end of March in Myrtle Beach. So on the ocean, very excited about that. Just a few days, but it'll be a 2.5 day retreat. Right, and we're staying right on the ocean. So I will be offering that, and we'll keep the costs as low as we can, but I'll be offering that probably later this month. And it's only going to be offered to people that are in the course, just simply because it's going to be a continuation of things that we're already working on, that we're already learning, that we're already exploring. So, okay. So, oh, one other thing that I wanted to point out, and this is another one of those I can't throw anything away things. So like the corners of letters that you get that have stamps on them, stamps for me represent travel. So that might be something that I would put on a page, and then I would gather maybe other things that make me think of travel. So maybe a map. You know, I'd have a map and I would put that stamp, that canceled stamp, or maybe a brand new stamp, or, you know, all kinds of ways that you can look at that journey. So I believe that I have taken enough of your time today. I see that it's noon. So I was thinking an hour and a half, 2 hours is, I always go beyond. It ends up being way more than I ever expect, but there it is. So I get carried away. You can make this journaling experience. You can do it in as little as 5 minutes a day, or 15 minutes a day. Or if you have more time, you can do it for an hour or 2 hours, or whatever it is that you feel in that moment is what you need, you know. So any questions? No? Did everybody get their book at least put together, sewn together?
Yeah, I
Excellent.
did. I did it like this, and I put enough.
Cute.
And
You
it
are
says,
enough, Mo.
thank you. It says, if you have enough of something, you have as much as you need.
That is so
Oh,
true. That
yeah.
is so true. I love that. I love that. So I will put, you know what, I'm gonna put right now the link for the membership. Command C. And okay. And then I do have a link as well for the Creative Vision box. Command C. Sorry, I have to talk to myself. I don't know why that is, but oh, no, it didn't take it. I gotta do it again. Let's see. All right, I don't know why it's not doing that. Do. It's Command V, right?
I have no idea. Sorry.
copy, you need to do control C to copy, and then to paste, it's control V.
You know, I did do it. It just went, see?
Oh, there you go.
Apparently I did
Oh.
it a whole bunch of times. So there it
That's
is.
all right.
That's my brokenness.
Mhm.
Technology hates me.
Yeah,
Okay.
me too.
Agree.
Okay. So I do want to say that in the course, and it is absolutely free. I do have a donate button there. If you feel that the content is valuable and you want to buy me coffee, it would be awesome. Everything helps to offset costs, but I absolutely want you to come for free. And I just want people to experience what I'm experiencing with all of this. So there is an opportunity to donate, but I don't want you to feel that you need to do that. I do have the Creative Vision box it's a supply box. If you're interested in that, it's only one for the quarter. So it's a much larger box than I was sending them out monthly last year. And so it was every month. So it's a bigger box, has more things in it, and that kind of thing. So, and it'll go along with everything that we're going to be working on. So I hope you enjoyed
Yes.
reading your book.
Yes, so fun. Thank you. Thank
Good.
you for your time. I had so much fun.
Oh, I'm glad. Art is fun.
Mhm.
So if you're going to join up Monday morning at 9. We're going to do that. And it'll be recorded so that I can put it out to anybody who can't, because that's an odd time. A lot of people work. I totally get that. And we will talk about choosing a better time. I just figured we'd start there and work from that. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to get started on it. I think
Yes.
it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good. So you guys have an amazing Saturday. Enjoy the sun. The sun came out.
Yes.
It's a
Yay.
good
Yes,
thing.
you too. Thank you so much.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you very much, Lisa. It was a lot of fun.
You're welcome. All right. I'm glad you guys had fun. And
Yes.
there's the end button. All right. And I will see you guys hopefully on Monday. Bye.
All right,
Goodbye.
we'll see you later. Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome.